Grossman, who is the president of Time. It's 99 years old news publisher and magazine, and they are getting now quite deep into NFT space. Great to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
So can you tell us how your interest in crypto and NFT started?
Sure. So I mean, my career started at Wired and Ars Technica. So I've been in crypto for many, many years, right? Maybe 2014, 2013, and
That's quite early.
I mean, and it's just a space that I really like as somebody who loves technology and business. And I mean, it wasn't until 2020 that I came across NFTs. And I was upstate New York, and I was alone, isolated, and I was realizing, wow, like my digital identity was just as valuable as my physical identity, and my physical identity was cut off from the world, right? And then I stumbled across NFTs, and I was like, well, if my digital identity is just as valuable as my physical identity, if I want to own things in real world, why wouldn't I want to own things in the digital world? And from that point forward, I just became fascinated with the space. It wasn't until March that I brought Time into Web3 that year, but Time has now been in the space for nearly 2 years.
Oh, nice. So, like, do you have a mindset of collector? You like collecting traditional art as well?
So yes, I mean, I love art, I love tech, I love media, I love business. Like, therefore, like, this was a perfect space for me. But you know, as somebody who loves art, like, I do collect a lot of NFTs, especially photography NFTs.
So, what are your favorite NFTs?
I mean, I have so many, and it's like you have to understand that, like with TIMEPieces, which is our community-based initiative, what started out with 38 artists is now 89 artists, and most of which are artists that I just absolutely love. Artists like Kath Simard or Victor Mosquera or Fuck Render or Justin Aversano or Diana Sinclair or John Knopf, or, you know, and I can go on and on and on, right? But it's just it's an amazing group of artists that, you know, I just all of them just come to mind as like amazing.
So, what was your first NFT purchase? So, were you gifted it or something?
So the first NFT that I ever received was an NFT of a clock that said 1111, and it kept on going through, and it was a good luck clock.
Oh, interesting.
And I loved that, and I have it framed in a digital frame that sits next to my computer at home, and just it means the world to me, and I just look at it every day and I think about that quite a bit.
Do you have some trendy NFTs like Bored Ape Yacht Club or CryptoPunks?
No, I don't have any Bored Apes or CryptoPunks. I have Fiwo's The Day I Learned to Fly. I have a few Thank You X's. I have a few Dave Krugmans and Jay and Silvas. But no, none of the CryptoPunks or the Bored Apes.
And Visa, can you tell more about the story with Timepieces? Like, how was it like you're a single person who took the decision to take Times into NFTs? So did you have to approve this decision via board of directors or something like that?
Sure. I mean, so we took Time into Web3 in March of 2021, and originally, like, the game plan was one-of-one NFTs, and so there's not a lot of cost in launching one-of-one NFTs. It's, you know, it was me, our legal team, and our creative director, and we had a lot of success with that. I then spent a lot of months in Clubhouse at the time, just listening to the space, and during that time we also started to accept digital subscriptions, crypto for digital subscriptions. If you go to time.com/hodl, HODL, like, you'll see that we accept 33 different digital subscriptions, including ApeCoin. But then I was learning, like, how can I take a token and a blockchain and change the relationship with our customers? Ironically, during that time, I didn't have to seek any approval for funding because we had done so much business on Super Rare with the one-of-ones that when Super Rare converted to a DAO, we had so many rare tokens that I converted it to ETH because our finance team would allow us to accept Bitcoin and Ethereum on our books, but nothing else. I convert so
Why
much
not
to
stable coins?
well, on stable coins if I wanted to. And it's a good point. And but like that, the DAO conversion of Super Rare actually paid for the funding of Timepieces. So like it was an amazing Web3 sort of evolutionary story.
Great. And with exception of cryptocurrency, how many of your subscribers users pay for the subscription in crypto?
Sure, so I actually don't think that many, thousands, not tens of thousands. I mean, you have to keep in mind that Time reaches 100 million consumers a month, right? And we have millions of subscribers. Thousands use time.com/hodl, but like the real sort of area where I have found fascinating is we've dropped 30,000 NFTs so far, as Time. There are 15,000 wallets that hold those 30,000 NFTs, and nearly 7,000 of those wallets, if not a little bit more, have connected their digital wallet to time.com to remove the paywall, which is the equivalent of a subscription, right? And so when the subscription leads in the crypto space, it does okay, but when the subscription is part of the utility of the NFT, it does exceptionally well.
And did you see the growth in your readership after launching of Timepieces NFTs?
Well, I don't think it's not growth in readership as much as opening the readership to a whole new sort of group of individuals, right? And I think that, if you look at Time, we reach 100 million individuals a month. Timepieces reaches 55,000 individuals, but I can tell you that those 55,000 individuals are so passionate about the brand, and we're not really engaging with the brand prior to us being in the space. And so it's been a really wonderful way of introducing or reintroducing the Time brand to a whole new generation.
And in what do you see the value of NFTs?
In what regard?
Generally, like from the mindset of collector, or is it like belonging to a certain club for you or something?
Sure. So I mean, I think that there's a lot of different values depending on what you want to get out of it, right? So, some people love NFTs from the mindset of a collector, right? And that's, like in my mind, like what I realized about Time was a 99-year-old analog meme. The cover is so famous, right?
Yeah.
And for 99 years, we would literally capture living history. And like when you start and you look at the one-of-ones were really about looking backwards, right? When you look at timepieces, it's really about how do we uplift the creators of tomorrow, right? And look forward. And so like on one level, it's collectors. The second level is it's community, right? So like, how do you bring together a group of people based on shared psychographics, not demographics or geographics, right? And some of the stuff that I love is the community members in places like Ukraine that I would never have engagement with, but I can through bringing them together in Web3, through this shared ownership. And then the third is really like the technology itself and how the technology can be used for subscriptions and memberships and loyalty programs, things that like you just are not seeing but are beginning to emerge today that we'll lean into.
Yeah, and you support as well charities, and thank you a lot for support of Ukraine, and you were showing me the NFT collection launched for Ukraine. Can you tell more about this?
Sure. So like, like one of the people who I'm close to in the space, who I have tremendous admiration for, is Nadia from Pussy Riot. And I think that she's the best example of someone who can use the crypto space for good, right? And you saw it with Ukraine DAO, and she moved close to $10 million to support people in need, real people, really helping people in that thing. Then you saw Relief emerge, right? And they raised $1 million in 30 seconds. And Timepieces is a values-based community, and we always talk about the importance of inclusivity and optimism and this give first notion and constructive feedback. And I said to the team, like, we really should be doing something too. Like, Nadia is such an inspiration to us, Relief was such an inspiration to us, we should do something too. And so 61 timepiece artists on a Friday evening got a note from me asking if they would help. They all provided one-of-one pieces. It's all in a collection on OpenSea called Timepieces Artists for Peace. And within 48 hours, we raised nearly $360,000 to humanitarian aid in Ukraine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we turned it over to the community to vote on the charitable distributions and allocations. But I think that using the space for good is a really powerful aspect of what crypto can do, and like it was important to us that we leaned into that.
Yeah, and as well recently you made partnership as well with Sandbox, and now Times is moving into Metaverse. Can you tell more about this?
Sure. So I think like the metaverse is like the easiest sort of extension for people to be like, oh, from a business or marketing perspective, I want to jump into the metaverse. My fear was always, what will we do in the metaverse if we haven't established sort of a community outside of a metaverse first? I love what the Sandbox is building, and what they gave us was a square in their ecosystem so we could launch Times Square. And I thought it was a very fun play on words, but what we're going to do is ultimately use it as a ecosystem or an epicenter for all of our assets to come together and exist virtually for our community.
Yeah, this is great. And now we see as well like NFT trading and prices dropped a lot, like the volumes of OpenSea dropped 99%. And now we see that NFT trading volumes dropped a lot as well. NFT prices too, like OpenSea trading volume dropped 99%. So where do you see this industry is going to?
So, I mean, we've not built our community around floor prices or trading. Like we've said from the very beginning, like we won't acknowledge that. Like we believe that if you're a values-based community, values create value over time. And like actually during the same time that we've seen drops in OpenSea's pricing and volumes, like we've seen engagement in our community go up, right? And today is actually the 1-year anniversary of Timepieces, right? Which is amazing to me that like it's been a year that we've been in this space. It's literally today is the 1 year. Thank you so much. And like for us, like the communities that I think are going to be sort of most exposed in this environment are the ones that were greed-based communities, the ones that we're not thinking about how do you build a community that's bigger than any given moment in time as it relates to volume, but rather communities that were literally looking at trade.
Times and timepieces.
I mean, I think that, you know, you'll continue to see us lean into, you know, evolving the brand along with where we see the technology will go. You'll see us lean into memberships and loyalty programs, rewards, subscriptions, and continuing to uplift artists. And I think that that's like a really important aspect of the brand.
Great. Hope to see some more exciting collections from you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.